Talk about the takeaway. The takeaway is maybe not the most important part of the golf swing, but it's nice to have confidence in that first move and exactly what it is that you should be doing. And it is a move that a lot of amateur golfers get wrong. So I've got a very, very simple drill, but first of all, what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about what should be happening with the body, particularly in even the sort of takeaway move, and then almost progressing up to the top of the backswing position. So once we take our sort of posture, we would produce a small amount of tilt. This progressively gets more depending on the longer the club or the shorter the club we're using. But really, once we start taking that club back, you really want to get this feeling that you are sort of turning and rotating that pelvis into the leg. So it's this type of motion here, right, that I'm demonstrating. Now, for most amateur golfers that I meet, for either through that door or online, they don't tend to do much movement very early on. They don't tend to rotate this way. Okay, what they tend to do is either sort of slide or just not move at all. And then the problem is by the time you get to the top of your backswing, you're not really loading, you're not really using the ground. Now, once you start practicing this, and this is again what I get a lot of my students to do, is practice this type of movement first, okay? Keeping this trail leg flexed, getting the feeling of turning that pelvis into the leg. Like I say, all of a sudden you're going to feel like you're encouraging more rotation. The only issue with that is once you start rotating a little bit more, it's quite commonplace then for the club to start to move a little bit too far behind you. So if you like, gets a little bit underneath that sort of plane line. And that's one of the things that we want to be sort of careful of, particularly with golfers that maybe don't adopt to such a neutral grip. If you're somebody who grips the club quite strong, which again, I'm seeing more and more golfers nowadays adopt a stronger grip, then all of a sudden you start getting that club moving under plane, you're going to really close down that club face and it's just going to cause a big problem. So what I would propose is practice first and foremost understanding a little bit of this rotation and get a feeling for that and get a feeling for loading that weight underneath that trail leg. And then the simple tip that you want to do is just place the golf ball about a foot behind the one that you're intending to hit. And all you want to do is just make sure that when you're hitting shots, when you take it back, you're going to get that feeling of rotating. But because we still want that feeling of the club travelling back straight, you're just going to knock that golf ball back in a straight line. And what we don't want to do, which again is a very common amateur trait, is to drag that so the golf ball travels underneath our line. And you want to feel like you're going to knock that golf ball back. And you can do that. If you're in a practice area where maybe you're at home hitting balls into a net, or it's a nice quiet day, then there's absolutely no harm getting set up, knocking it back in a straight line, and then swinging through. And it's an important skill, I think, the takeaway, because what you want to be doing is having that ability to navigate that rotation whilst keeping that club moving back in the correct sort of direction, because like I say, it puts you in good stead, and it's a holistic skill that can be applied through short game, pitching, obviously in your full swing. See you guys again really soon.